Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com, joined by John Clark tonight to talk about WWE NXT WarGames. John, how you doing?
I'm doing, I'd say, average. How are you doing?
I'm sad. I'm sad, John. We're gonna try and be positive for about the main event, but I'm pretty sad. It was definitely as expected, not caught by surprise or anything. And this is what we've been talking about for weeks now. But to see it come to reality here, it was a pretty rough one. So. With that being said, before we get into it, I just want to remind you all this show, like everything we do here, is available on all of our streaming platforms, whether it's SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever it may be. We've got you covered. So, John, we had War Games tonight, and it started with the women's War Games match. Now, I thought this was a very good match, and then here I am scrolling through Twitter, kind of namely afterwards, and I saw a lot of people criticizing this one, but I thought this was a good match. She had a great breakout match with Cora Jade. She pinned JC Jane to get the win here. It was a hard fought match. This was very much in line with what we've come to expect from just NXT women's Wargames matches in general, Warriors matches in general. I thought it was very, very good. I thought everyone looked great, but I saw some people criticizing the booking and the overall flow and structure. What are you thinking about this one?
Uh, I did think at times the match kind of felt like it was all over the place. I definitely would want to reiterate that I agree with a lot of the fans when they said that some of these spots looked poorly planned, led to some awkward moments where it appeared that women were standing or laying in specific spots waiting for certain things to happen. Of course, there was a genuinely scary bump. It was a spot with Jade. People were, I don't know. It's just she appeared to be fine. She sold the bump like a pro. The shoulder thing with Io, like popping the shoulder back into place. Like what was that? Like was that just was that on the spot? Was that a fake? Was it? I don't know what happened there, but it definitely felt like some of the spots were creative, but it didn't really feel like a good match until all of the women were in the ring at the end, kind of going through the flow. As we built up to that point, the first 10 to 15 minutes of the match, it certainly did not feel like, um, I don't want to say organized, but it didn't feel like it was going how they expected it to go. Uh, Gonzalez definitely looked good. No surprises there. But talk about the end here. Are you surprised with who won or not?
No, in the sense that this was very clearly, or okay. If you asked me like before the match, if I thought Corey Jade would get the pin, probably not. DJ Cassidy pointed out that Corey Jade is hardcore. I saw that going around tonight. As I said a minute ago, she definitely had a breakout just performance overall here. So I thought that was good for her. A good way to build some new stars here. You mentioned the spot where Io tried to pop her shoulder back into place. Brian Everett bringing that up, saying she broke character in doing so. I don't know. This was definitely one of those moments where it was hard to see. Like, what? Obviously, it looked really rough. She landed right on her shoulder with a swanton bomb. She looked pretty. Like it was pretty rough. But then it's like, is she selling, or is she actually hurt? You really couldn't tell. And then with Io popping the shoulder back, it's like I feel like that's not. She's not really hurt because like she was really hurt. I don't think they would do that. But who knows, right? I could be wrong. But no, throughout what the match here, as it kind of went on, this was very much kind of positioned for Cora Jade to be, and quite literally, Raquel Gonzalez said it in an interview that I was reading earlier this afternoon. She said, "Oh, I had a breakout moment last year at War Games, and I want to see Cora Jade do the same thing." Kind of, alluding to what we saw here. Cora Jade had a breakout moment, and now I even thought during the match itself, I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to have her feud with Mandy Rose coming out of this because she pinned Mandy Rose. I think that was 2 weeks ago in a non-title match, so that would be a pretty easy, pretty easy progression here. So no, this was definitely a good way to build Cora Jade. DJ is saying that he said the past Cora Jade is money, so they seem to be high on it. She's been pushed pretty prominently during the 2.0 era. No heel turns. We have Steven Chambers saying that he, among others, predicted that Cora Jade or somebody would turn heel. That wasn't the case. We got through it kind of as expected. Both teams were remaining intact. So I thought this was very, very good. And that's just saying she likes Cora Jade. DJ saying that she'll be a next champion. So good. I thought everyone got a chance to shine, and no one. I mean, they had Jason Jane take the pin. I thought that made sense. It's not like they had Mandy Rose get pinned. Dakota Kai looked strong. The whole arena was chanting, not the whole arena, but a lot of people were chanting for Gigi Dolan before she even got in the ring. So that was pretty cool, that she got that kind of following there. So yeah, and again, other people saying kind of things they expect to see happen with Jason Michael Campbell saying he was expecting Toxic Attraction to turn on Dakota Kai to have some like inner team dissension there. That didn't happen. We had just both teams going out there, remaining united fronts, surprisingly managing to coexist there. So
yeah, I was going to say, what does it speak that now almost every show we expect there to be some kind of an issue with teams?
That's just unfortunately. They condition us to think that way. Like every time they start to like lean on a certain trope or trend, I can at least speak for myself that I start to kind of expect it. And then when it doesn't happen, I'm admittedly pleasantly surprised. I'm like, okay, good. They didn't do that this time. So no, I like that. That they didn't just kind of, because that would have been a little just predictable and just par for the course, I guess. So, but yeah, the big takeaway here from a lot of people was saying that Cora Jade definitely had a good performance here, that she definitely stood out. Jeremy Hansen saying this could be the future of the women's division overall. And I mean, that's high praise. I at least think she could be the future for NXT, and we'll see what happens after that. But I like this match. I thought it was a good way to open the show. And that's just saying she loved the ladies open the show. I mean, I think they usually do. They usually have the women's match open the show as far as I can recall, because it's a guaranteed way to start off with a very good match. To start off with,
I mean, she's literally only 20 years old. Yeah. So they definitely are going to continue to build off of this, and I definitely think that we could see a title feud sooner rather than later. I know we've already seen history between these two in the past couple of weeks tonight. So how they build off of this going forward, now that there was a big win, I certainly think it is a case to be made for another title match, which me and you can assume would be 1 month from 1 month from yesterday on the January 4th Tuesday episode of NXT, which we think will be a New Year's Eve TV special. We can't confirm that, or
they announced that during the show.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, you're right. They did.
Yeah. So we know that we can look forward to that as the next special show of some sort for NXT. I would expect this match, especially. We'll talk about the main event later, but I think Ciampa versus Braun Breaker round 2 would be another fairly safe bet for that one, unless they want to draw that out even more. But we'll talk about the main event much more later on here. But as a nice segue, getting a lot of questions about the contract statuses of Johnny Gargano and or Kyle O'Reilly. Lots to report about there. We'll take it one match at a time here. So we're talking about the NXT tag title match in which Kyle O'Reilly competed. Before we talk about the contract stuff, I thought this was a very, very good match. I've been saying it for several weeks now. I really, really like Imperium. I think they're very, very underrated. They don't have like the best gimmick or personality or like promo skills necessarily, but in the ring, these guys are great. Fabian Eichner, have a match. This guy had like this really cool springboard like moonsault. He had this like corkscrew dive outside the ring. I was talking to some people about it, and they're comparing him to like a more lightweight version of Cesaro. I thought that was a very good comparison. He's strong. He's got a good look. Very, very athletic. Thought this was great. Imperium wins, but admittedly, John, we talked about this on Tuesday. I very much into this match like, okay, Kyle O'Reilly's probably going to leave, so there's pretty much no chance that O'Reilly and Wagner are going to win here, because that just wouldn't make sense. And yet, they still got me a couple of points. There were like, I think, 2 separate points where O'Reilly nearly choked, I think it was Eichner out. And I was like, are they going to do like this like shock title change and maybe have them drop it back on Tuesday? Just messes us. I don't know. And they didn't. But to me, that's a sign of a very, very good match. At least for me, my criteria, it's like if you can really make me like get out of my own head and say like, oh wow, like I can fully buy in. That's very, very good. Brian Everett saying tag match killed it. And I have some more stuff about what happened after the match. But John, what do you think about this match overall with Imperium retaining before we get into the eventful after match scene?
Well, I definitely want to say that if this would have been just a regular match on, say, NXT on Tuesday night, it would probably be a match of the night. Although it's kind of overshadowed by, of course, some bigger matches tonight. This was certainly a good match. Imperium looked very strong, as you did mention there. But something just seemed off a little bit. As far as when Wagner was in the ring, for one, the crowd definitely lost interest when he was in the ring compared to when Kyle was in the ring, naturally.
Yeah.
Secondly, it seemed that the action, the pace, the moves, it kind of just really slowed down when he was in the ring. I really think that he has a generic character right now.
Very.
I
He's like
think
he's like a
Wagner.
creative wrestler from like the 2K games. Like I'm just not seeing it, man. I literally asked
Yes.
somebody, I was like, does this guy have a gimmick? No?
Yes, but the other three wrestlers did a very good job of making this a competitive, solid, respectable match. And then, of course, you saw what happened at the end. O'Reilly held up the Undisputed Era sign saying, like, you can't turn on me. I've seen this before. I know what's going on here. But some people, like Brian's mentioning here, saw it as kind of like a tribute. Some people saw it, I don't know why they would kind of think this, but some people saw it as like a shot that Kyle O'Reilly was taking, like a I don't care what happens because I'm out of here, so I'm going to do whatever I want type thing. He is one guy that I do think is done after Tuesday, because I think they did announce a cage match on Tuesday, which I fully expect O'Reilly to probably lose and be his send off. So out of all of the questionable situations right now, I think the most solidified, at least in my eyes, is that O'Reilly's done, and I do think he will probably join the other two UE members in AEW, and who knows what they'll recreate there. Obviously, if they do create something, WWE owns the right, so they can't call it that.
Right.
But we'll see.
We'll all know. We'll all know. But no,
Yeah.
that ironically, I didn't even really catch it. I was writing up their match result, and I kind of looked down for a second. I saw that like the attempted. Well, the funny part is, Von Wagner like try to turn heel and just gets beat up by Kyle O'Reilly. I thought this seemed funny to me, especially again. I don't mean to knock the guy. I'm just like still not really seeing it. So then having one of my favorites here, O'Reilly, just like have him scouted and leave him lying after he tried to turn heel on him. I thought that was pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, I would agree. I mean, Gargano seems a little more up in the air, whereas Kyle O'Reilly, it's like, okay, he might be done on Tuesday. He got this cage match. They didn't officially announce it, but he did challenge Wagner, so I would pretty safely assume that will be confirmed for the show. And yeah, that's very much a write him out of the show kind of thing. One last cage match and have whoever's staying wins, and that's just a very foundational wrestling thing. So Wagner would win. Presumably, he'd be a heel coming out of that because he'd be the guy that got rid of Kyle O'Reilly. But yeah, I mean, obviously the writing on the wall there being that O'Reilly, if he leaves, we go to AEW. There he could be with Adam Cole, Bobby Fish. As a fan, I think that's very, very cool. But we're talking about NXT here. So with that, I thought this was very, very good. Michael Covington saying it was the match of the night. It was a very good tag team match, and he thought it was the best match of the night. And they repeating that, saying, shout out to Fabian Eichner, legs of a horse. That guy, again, very, very impressive athleticism there. So, yeah, let's focus on the match. Great match. And then, obviously, the buzzworthy aftermath of the match to give us something to look forward to, or to, I guess, prepare for it if he is leaving on to come Tuesday. Do want to take a moment to, as DJ's saying here, to shout out Beth Phoenix. She announced, I think, on Friday or so, this will be her final NXT show as part of the broadcast team. She's been there for, I think, about 2.5 years now on the team there, being a very constant member of the broadcast team throughout the pandemic, throughout the 2.0 revamp. So I thought she's done a great job. I've really enjoyed her work as a broadcaster for the show. And now she's decided we'll move on to other things. She said she'll be staying with WWE, but she just felt compelled to move on to something else. So with that, obviously wish her the best and want to give her credit because again, I thought she did a great job there, and I added even more emotion to tonight's show on top of the O'Reilly situation, Gargano in the main event, Brian saying that he's gonna miss Beth, and I will as well. I think thought she did a great job there on NXT. I'm sure. If they add somebody or if they move somebody over, it'll be great as well. But we'll see what happens with that one. After that, we had the hair versus hair match with Cameron Grimes and Duke Hudson. Pretty much as you would expect here, Cameron Grimes got the win. Fairly good match. I thought Duke Hudson looked good. Held his own with a guy like Grimes. Admittedly, this one was a weird one where I kind of thought, it would make sense to have Grimes win, but most of these matches, I kind of expected the new quote unquote the new kids to win, where you'd kind of have the 2.0 guys win and establish themselves. this one went against out. Grimes has been around for a while, and he got the win. Hudson tried to attack him out for the match and shave him anyway. Grimes got the upper hand and wound up shaving Hudson. Not necessarily bald, but gave him a fairly noticeable haircut. John, what do you think about this match and the fresh haircut for Duke Hudson?
Oh, I gotta admit that for me, this was probably one of the weak points of the night as far as matches go. Make no doubt about it. People have known how good Grimes is for quite a while. This was Duke Hudson's, like, I don't want to say audition, but really his chance to break out, as we talked about earlier. Grimes' win was not surprising for me, although I saw many people online that were surprised about it. I thought me and you had agreed last week that this was going to be pretty obvious that Grimes would win.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were upset that, hey, this night is about 2.0. This is about the new generation. But this it held its own against the rest of the show, but it was, like I said, it was for me a low point of the night. We'll see how it goes moving forward with the new look that Hudson has. I'm surprised that they actually went through with this and he somehow didn't run away or escape or something, because this genuinely, quite literally, gives him a new look.
Yeah, I mean, DJ Tessier is saying that he's surprised, or maybe he thought more hair would have come off. He's waiting for a stone cold kind of bald head. And that's like kind of what you would think for a hair versus hair match, but I mean, it's not like he escaped like it's a trim with scissors. So like he razed his hair, and there you go. You know, but no, usually when say what you will about WWE, but when they do a hair versus hair match, from what I can recall, they usually actually do it. They usually, shave someone's head again, even if it's not totally bald, they do it. I mean, I remember Baron Corbin used to have long hair, and then he got his head shaved, so now he's the baldo we all know and love, or not love. But that's I think more so like it's a pretty prestigious match type. I forget the exact name, but especially down like lucha libre culture, it's very like serious. Like if you put hair on the line, it's a big deal, and they kind of try and play tribute to that with a match like this. So it'd be weird to have them kind of insult that, I guess. It's a pretty serious thing, at least in universe, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, I would agree. It wasn't a bad match, but when you have two very, very good WarGames matches, a very, very good tag team title match, and I'll say a decent to good cruiserweight title match, something's got to be one of the weaker points, and I thought this was probably up there. I guess we can take a little sidebar to talk about some of the things that we'll have to look forward to coming out of tonight's show, because they advertised a couple of things, or advertised / kind of developed a couple of things moving forward. Josh Hefner pointing out we'll see who the Shaman is on Tuesday. We will not have to wait much longer. That was one thing you and I had talked about, where we thought we might see this tonight, maybe. I'm glad we didn't, because a lot of the non-match things for me, Peacock just kind of like skipped or cut out a lot of the vignettes, a lot of the character videos or video packages for the most, well, maybe not the videos that were for the matches, but for most things that weren't like literally part of the show itself, I didn't see. Apparently there was one really bad jacket time vignette that I just didn't see at all, but apparently like people were really, really down on it. So I'm not sure what happened there, but I mean, I'm not surprised that's bad, because jacket time has not been booked very well recently. So they're doing things. But one thing we do know, one thing I did see, was that the Shaman will be revealed on Tuesday, so we'll not talk much longer. Kind of curious to see what happens here. We've been talking about it. Don't really wish to sit here wondering blindly who's it going to be, because we've already done that several times. I saw several tweets thinking it's going to be Rob Van Dam. Again, my initial guess of John Morrison is out the window here, so not sure about that one. Friend of the show, Nando, predicting Ring of Honor star Dalton Castle could be it. Not sure about that, but anything's possible. But yeah, I mean, I'm just glad we're going to be able to see who it's going to be, because tired of waiting. But hopefully it'll be good. And we were talking about that, of some of these recent mysteries here. But with that, thankfully, just about 2 more days till we find out whoever that is. Any last minute guesses there, John?
I honestly don't really know. For some reason, there's been a lot of people online saying that they think it's Rob Van Dam. I just don't see that happening. It would be very odd if it was. I'm still kind of on the boat of it being somebody that we haven't seen a lot of before. So not really a well-known name like John Morrison or Rob Van Dam or somebody like that. So that's what I'm going with. But we have certainly been surprised before, so we'll see.
We will see. That takes us to the Cruiserweight title match here with Stable Chambers saying, Strong retains, but why have a Cruiserweight title if you don't have any Cruiserweights? And that is a very, very valid criticism because I'm not sure, but someone tweeted that beyond just the challengers, Roderick Strong is not even Cruiserweight, and I guess I'd overlooked that or wasn't aware of that. I'm not quite sure exactly how much he weighs, but at the very least, beyond him, definitely a lack of cruiserweights here, and that was the whole point kind of this match here, where Joe Gacy had said, he wants to challenge for a title, and he wanted to kind of break the restrictions of the weight class tied to the cruiserweight title. There was one report I think earlier this week that said that WWE was kind of looking to phase out the cruiserweight title, and I can't validate or verify the validity of that, but nonetheless, that added more uncertainty around this match of are they going to have Gacy win? John, you and I even talked about this in theory of are they going to change it to the TV title or as Gacy had said, the all-inclusive title? At least not tonight, because Roderick Strong won. As I said, I thought this was a pretty good match. Again, something had to be kind of one of the weak points of the show, and I thought this, along with the Grimes match, wasn't bad, but wasn't out of this world either on a show, and he had some very, very good matches. With Brian Everett saying, based on this result, God did not change the Cruiserweight title. So yeah, I would, at least for now, you can probably safely expect to see the Cruiserweight title sticking around. And then I think that's a good thing because this is the title they've already kind of written off or gotten rid of once before. So I hope I want to see it stick around at least for a little longer. But Nando saying maybe they could turn the 205 the Cruiserweight Championship into an X Division style title for any Impact fans out there. I think that'd be cool. But again, they don't have a lot of these real high flying kind of guys. Not they don't have any, but to have a whole division like that, I just don't think they have the depth right there. But in the end here, Gacy he did come up short, but I thought he looked good. I thought this was a chance for him to kind of prove he's more than a gimmick, and I thought he did. Held his own with the guy like Roderick Strong. Kind of like what John you were saying about the Cameron Grimes match. I was admittedly a little surprised because I thought, they might have Gacy win to really kind of cement, hey, this is the 2.0 era where all the new guys are going to win, and this is definitely the launch of a new generation. But with Roderick Strong winning, we have another kind of holdover from the past generation. And lastly here, Josh Hefner pointing out the Strong weighs 200 pounds, so he is a legitimate Cruiserweight champion. There you go. John, what do you think about the Cruiserweight title match and the persisting existence of the Cruiserweight title, let's say?
Yeah, so Gacy is billed as 245 pounds, so well over the 205. I thought the match was just kind of there tonight. It was just on the card. They needed a fifth match, and this was the one. Both men are good in the ring. Both men are surrounded by upcoming talent that are sure to play a pivotal role in the show. I just thought that the story was a little awkward. The pace of the match was a little really slow and really fast. It didn't really mesh together very well. But I think more so than just Roddy and Gacy was, of course, Ivy Nile and Harland being involved. And, of course, you can't forget Bivens as well. So this was just kind of, I think, a match that kind of tried to escalate more people to a higher level in the show. It wasn't really just about the two that were in the match.
No, I thought it was good to have Harland and Ivy Nile have that kind of spot just so they're on TV and spotlight like that. And maybe to a degree that took some of the focus off the match itself. But again, they're all about trying to build these new stars, new characters here, and I think that they did that. So I think that was a good outcome in that regard. And Shawn Michaels agreeing wasn't a bad match, but it definitely wasn't as good as the rest here. It was a match. Maybe there'll be a rematch. Maybe they'll kind of keep this going here. I don't know. But at least for one night, Roderick Strong still the Cruiserweight champion, and there you go. So for me, this match, admittedly, I was a little just down on to begin with because I had this feeling in my gut. I'm like, we're one match away from the NXT WarGames main event of Team Black and Gold and Team 2.0. And Johnny and I have been talking about for weeks, knowing this is coming, knowing that it's just I knew the 2.0 was going to win. And there were several points where I thought, maybe not. There's one point, especially late in the match, a DIY Gargano and Ciampa hit their finisher that I actually bought. I was like, oh my gosh, Black and Gold's going to win, and we're going to keep it going for a little bit. Although that would have been a whole other thing as well. Because at some point, I'm very, very sad at the fact that 2.0 won. But at the same time, they've been so clearly going in that direction. that would have been very, very weird to have Black and Gold win in that way. So Drip's going to like asking who won. It was Team 2.0, the new guys defeating the NXT Old Guard. To rewind here a little bit, Gargano comes out and he's got the classic Rebel Heart theme. And to say that I teared up would not be an exaggeration. He was like, my gosh, this, like, they're just so clearly, like, all signs point to him leaving. And that especially, like, you know, one last tribute to, I don't want to say the peak of his NXT run, but definitely like kind of like that's when he was an NXT champion. That's when it really kind of broke out in a big way. So to kind of go back in time like that for this match, for this generational clash of old school and new school, that definitely hit me. Seeing DIY reunite and they had a sequence of double team moves in the match, that definitely hit me. But I thought, again, as disappointed and kind of sad, again, of the outcome, I thought everyone on Team 2.0 just had a great chance to shine. I think they capitalized. Grayson Waller, of all people, had a breakout match. He hit like this diving elbow drop off the cage. He looked pretty strong. He had several chances to shine. Colin Hayes is already a made man. I thought he looked great. Braun Breaker, he enters his match. He single-handedly destroys Team Black and Gold for a couple minutes, and then eventually he gets the pin on Ciampa. So that we'll talk about maybe the aftermath of this, but definitely a big statement there. Everyone in this match. LA Knight had a spot. He did a belly to belly suplex to a table, which is crazy. And Pete Dunne's out there just brutalizing fingers as he always does. So I think everybody got to kind of hit their beats and do their thing. And it was a very, very good main event, probably as best as I could ask for. Because again, as much as my heart wanted it, I would have made sense to have Team Black Gold win, and that's what Sean Lightcalf was saying. It was the right team won, the right person went over, Wolf Breaker winning, and we do, as he's saying, we do see the changing of the guard. One highlight, at least for me especially, as Ness is pointing out, Trick Williams was being a tricky dog, having the nerve to throw weapons into the ring and poke him through the cage, and then he's reaching into the ring, and Dexter Lumis grabs him, and he comes out. Dexter is back. Sexy Dexy is back in NXT. We thought he'd be gone for a month, but thankfully he is back, and he chased Trick Williams, or he kind of made Trick Williams leave. You know, he ran away because he was scared. And Loomis gave Papa John, his stepfather, Johnny Gargano, an emotional thumbs up. And again, just like all these like signs and callbacks and all these things. A very, very good match. John, all things put together here. What did you think about this main event match?
This main event match had the feel of a Johnny Gargano send-off from start to finish. Theme song, DIY reunion, the Dexter Lumis stuff, kind of everything that he's done in the past couple of years, the crutch spot he had with Tommaso, it certainly was the biggest highlight of the show. Every single person, as you mentioned, had some kind of a spot. And we got to point out at the end of the show tonight, this might have been just for the live crowd, I think. Johnny Gargano did reveal that he would reveal everything on Tuesday. He would tell everything that he knows on Tuesday. So maybe he announces on Tuesday that he's leaving or something happens. But he did tell the live crowd for the show, and we've already had people commenting about it, that this Tuesday night, Gargano will basically, he said, spill the beans and reveal everything. So let's see what he says. Could be good news, could be not, depending on, no matter what news it is, it could be good or bad for whatever side of the fence you're on. Some people are head over heels that they want him to leave and go somewhere else. Some people really want him to stay and move to the main roster. I think everybody can agree that no matter what happens, I think his time in NXT is done. I think at this point it's main roster or bust. It's SmackDown, Raw, or Indies, or probably AEW. Who knows? But other side of the thing here is that his wife Candice does not have any expiration on her deal until, they said, at least next fall. So nearly a year that she'll still be with the company. Of course, now her contract is frozen, being that she's on not going to have a baby. But she did stick around as long as she could, just to kind of maybe not have that contract frozen earlier. So we'll see what happens there. And I do like Brian's thought here that maybe he does stay because of Candice, but we've seen that before not be an issue. So. But as far as this match goes, back to the match, Braun Breaker winning over the champion was a very, I think, predictable ending to the show. This is definitely setting up a New Year's Evil, probably the final process of the passing of the torch. I think the first show of 2022 to really solidify that, hey, this is officially, we're not no longer just in the starting phase of 2.0. Now that's all we know now is 2.0. So, of course, the crowd was into it the entire match. The table spots were entertaining. Waller with a very risky, deadly-looking spot. Overall, I thought that it was a decent show compared to takeovers we've seen before. Certainly not the best. Certainly not the worst. I think an average takeover that would exceed the typical NXT show we get on Tuesday. So my advice to somebody that maybe was reluctant on watching NXT 2.0 when it started, I would at least invest time into this takeover. If not the entire thing, at least watch the tag match and this main event match. And I'd go with the women's match at the beginning just to kind of see what a little bit of a mix of the old and new. So those are the three matches that I would say. If you're skeptical, just give them three a watch, and then maybe see what happens after that. And then I would say tune in this Tuesday just because I think it's worth it to see what Johnny Gargano has to say. And then maybe that'll just turn people off even more. Maybe him saying that he's going to stay will make people even happier. So
yeah,
that's kind of my thought on the main event match there.
I would agree. Definitely, maybe this match alone made the show worthwhile. We will talk a little more about the Johnny Gargano stuff after we give our rating for the show, because to me that's the big thing coming out of this. Before we rate the show itself, DJ is asking what we rate the WarGames matches just kind of individually. For me, I would probably say maybe like a 7.3 for the women's WarGames match. That was pretty good. And I would say, if I'm being honest, I was bummed by the ending, but I can't knock the match for the ending of not being exactly what I want it to be emotionally. Again, that weird conflict there. For match quality itself, I would go an 8 or an 8.5 for the men's WarGames match. I thought it was great. Everyone shined. Everyone looked great. Everyone got their chance to do what they do. So with that alone, I'll get my rating for the overall show in a minute, but definitely propped up by those two strong WarGames matches. John, would you agree? And you were just kind of saying in a more vague sense, but if you had to put a number to it, how would you rate the WarGames matches?
I would have to say a 7 for the women, a solid average 7, and I would go for an 8.75 for the men.
Nice.
Well, talking about the show from an overall standpoint, I have to go with a 7.75 tonight. So a little above average. The two WarGames matches, particularly the men's and the tag match, were standout matches. Now, of course, you might think, 7.75 is a very high rating. I was in the range of typically giving 8 to 8.5 for takeovers before this. So make no mistake about it. It wasn't a takeover that was on par with the old ones. But hey, for though that part of the audience that thought back in September, October that we would not see a takeover at all the rest of the year, which was rumored, we did get one, and it did deliver more than what I think people thought it probably would. So I think we're kind of back. I think we're going to be back on that schedule now of maybe 4 takeovers a year. I expect to see one maybe again, if not WrestleMania, maybe around Vengeance Day, Valentine's Day, if they wanted to do that. But I'm going to say that the next takeover probably won't be until WrestleMania, which would be about 3.5 months. So that's fine. That's fine. That's what AEW's been doing with their pay-per-views as well, and it seems to work. Just keep the TV specials once a month. I think that's all you need to do.
I would agree. And for me, ironically, I've made it no secret that I miss NXT of old. And even with that, I thought tonight's show was very on par with some of the NXT takeovers that I can remember, like Stand and Deliver, some of the other ones we've seen in at least in recent memory. Maybe not like peak NXT Black and Gold era, but maybe some of the later ones I thought they're very much in line with them. Like Takeover was at 36 in August, so very much in line with that. Definitely not a drop off or anything. At least definitely not a steep one. So I thought it was a pretty good show with Nash. I think she'll give it an 8. with DJ giving it a 9, Brian with a 7, Nando with an 8.5 and saying goodbye to the old NXT. Nestor repeats her 8, Michael with an 8.5 as well. So I would say, like, especially considering we've been sitting here for quite a while now of just kind of being fairly down on NXT overall, pleasantly surprised, admittedly, and also for me coming out of the show feeling pretty sad about, again, this full transition to the new era. Luke got us start giving a horse and a peach, saying he hasn't watched NXT since September, doesn't plan on watching anytime soon. Well, Luke, we appreciate you for tuning into the show. Hopefully we can keep you entertained and tell you what you need to know about NXT at least. Tony with a 9 as well.
There are certainly people out there that are just they literally just do not like change. They don't handle change well. I don't want to say stuck in their ways because that's not true, but they're just so maybe entertained or enjoying something, and then all of a sudden they change it, and it's like, wait a minute, why are we changing this if we didn't need to? And I certainly get that, and I'm not saying that tonight has been a turn of the page where, oh, now you need to watch 2.0 because tonight was so good. That's not the case, but I think it's better than it was. And as these, and I know you're a part of that crowd because,
yeah,
but the thing is, these people were going to the main roster, and I wouldn't say they were flopping, and if they were, it was because of creatively it just was their fault. But I think being able to kind of tailor your own guys how you want them to be from NXT will make them more successful in the main roster. It certainly will be sad if they do this and people like Braun Breaker go to the main roster and the same thing happens. And of course, like I said, people have their opinions. Luke says, better than it was. What are you smoking? I'm not saying I'm not saying it's better than the original NXT. I'm saying 2.0 now is better than 2.0 was when it started in October, September, whatever it was. I'm not saying it's better than Black and Gold. I'm saying 2.0 has gone better than when it first started. And I think everybody can agree at least on that because the faces they're settling in more. They're being more exposed to the crowd. They're becoming more popular. I don't even know if any of them have merchandise for sale because I don't see it. But
they do the 2.0 commercial. They have the brand sweatshirts, and I think at least a guy like Braun Breaker, probably Mandy.
Like, who's gonna buy an NXT 2.0 pullover hoodie? Why would you want to wear that? Like, I don't understand.
I would not.
So we'll see. Talking points I have coming out of this are: what does Johnny Gargano say on Tuesday? That's the biggest thing right now. Secondly, with all of these matches, we're assuming we're gonna get between Tommaso, Braun, Cora, and Mandy. Are they going to announce those for New Year's Eve, or are we going to see them before that?
I would have to imagine they're going to hold off Braun Ciampa for New Year's Evil. Probably Mandy as well. They could probably build it up. That's only, you said, it's less than a month from yesterday, so that's what, 4 TVs ish, not even. So that's not all that hard to build up on a 2-hour show. Especially maybe we'll do on the go home like the good old video, what it used to be called, like the video package they used to do. I think they used to do that, build that up. But yeah, I mean, it's tough, for me. I do the show. It's my job to watch the show. It's my job to cover the show. If I were not paid or employed to watch, partially part of my responsibility to watch this show, I would probably stop watching, assuming this is where they're going, especially after New Year's Evil, where I would assume Breaker's going to be Ciampa, because then to me that is the last gasp of the old NXT. And I probably wouldn't watch live every week. I'd probably kind of do the good old YouTube and maybe catch some of the full matches as I see fit, tune in as I see fit. But there's some good things here, and before I get to that, not just saying RP, the yellow and black, we'll miss you. We will miss you. Again, it's tough, man. Especially tonight, Johnny Gargano potentially leaving, although, as you said, John, not sure what he's going to say on Tuesday, but you would think will be newsworthy and worthwhile. So kind of keep tuning in for that one. But DJ pointing out it's a weird hybrid of the original NXT isn't dead because you've still got some of the new original guys there, at least for now. Even if Gargano and O'Reilly leave, you've got Ciampa, Roderick Strong still there. You've got someone like a Raquel Gonzalez who still kind of rose to prevalence during the Black and Gold era. It's this weird kind of hybrid of the two, but it's definitely this. It's a shift, right? It's a shift in philosophy. John, you were saying it's about building the stars for the main roster more so than they had been. I think that's very fair. And if they do it well, if it works out, good. And DJ, I overlook Dakota Kai, definitely her as well. Brian's saying he misses old NXT, but he's coming around, and I commend you for that. And as John, as you had said, I think it's getting better. It's just, admittedly, I'm a grouchy old man. Okay, I loved the old NXT so much, and this just isn't it. And I'm coming around in the sense, like, I'm not so like negative on it, but like in terms of my overall enjoyment, it's like, no, it's my loyalties lie where they do, and that's where I kind of come off on it. But to wrap up at least a little bit here, back to the Gargano stuff. People are wondering what he's going to do. That's just saying maybe he'll take time off and come back. Take time off to be with his wife and baby. Possible, right? Again, we never know what any one person's thinking when it comes to contracts, when it comes to their careers. We are sitting here very firmly on the outside, having no idea what anybody wants or what they want to do, what they are going to do. So he's sitting here today. It's entirely possible Johnny Gargano could be re-signing and be back on NXT next week. It's possible he could be taking time off. It's possible he might be off the door and leaving. Same thing for Kyle O'Reilly. Although O'Reilly, admittedly, has less variables in play of like, he doesn't have a pregnant wife who's still employed by the company. He doesn't, and for O'Reilly, he has incentives to leave because he does have Adam Cole and Bobby Fish over in AEW, so that you can't ignore that. But we're talking about Johnny and Candice here. DJ's saying if you assume they're going to stay together, in terms of working in the same place, DJ pointing out you have Ty Valkyrie, John Morrison. To be fair, they both got released, but at the same time, she left Impact Wrestling before she came to WWE, and as a professional move, but to at least in one way to be where John Morrison was. So again, you never know. Michael Goodman saying it's time for Johnny with Austin Theory and Raw, Candice pregnant, and Indy and Dexter doing their own things. It's time to make that change. I'm not quite sure what he means, whether that's moving to the main roster or leaving entirely. I'm not quite sure, but it definitely feels like a fitting time for change all things around here. And another one, DJ saying maybe he should be on the main roster. He had dark matches on SmackDown, so that would seem to kind of suggest that he could be going to SmackDown at some point. Although that's kind of scary. I think actually I don't think Adam Cole did. I think he had meetings, not dark matches, but they at least had dark matches with Gargano and O'Reilly trying to scout them to potentially see if they would want to do that. Have them on the main roster at some point, but we just don't know. That is really the moral story. As much as we might wish we could say here tonight, we know that this can happen. We don't. We know they'll be on NXT this week, presumably, but we don't know for certain what that's going to mean. Nonetheless, that does mean that NXT this week will definitely be, dare I say, even more worthwhile than normal. Johnny had said a couple weeks ago. Like, even for that alone, you're just like, okay, we got to tune in to see what Johnny's going to say. If O'Reilly, presuming he doesn't lose, like, is he going to have like this send off on the show, or is like
you have a feeling that what he's going to do is probably going to open the show, Johnny, or maybe close the show, and then O'Reilly maybe the opposite of that. So
yeah. But whatever does happen, we'll be here on Tuesday to talk about all of it here on the NXT post show. Otherwise, John, you will now be back here on Monday night to talk about Monday Night Raw. Robert D. Felice and I will be back here on Friday as scheduled for the SmackDown post show. Otherwise, the two Diamond Dudes on the Rampage will also have all things AW covered. They'll be doing a show tomorrow night, so make sure to tune in for that. And otherwise, we've got a great stream of interviews constantly coming at you guys, whether that's Bill Perseverance interviewing Booker T. I've interviewed many Ring of Honor stars ahead of their pay-per-view this weekend. Dominic D'Angelo recently interviewed several NXT stars. Several MLW stars, forgive me. Lots of interviews all on the stream, so make sure to leave a like and subscribe. We appreciate you. We can hope for a very fun, eventful, and good week of wrestling here, starting overall on Monday. And with that being said, we thank you all so very much for listening. Your support means so very much. I genuinely appreciate it. It makes a night like tonight, when I am very bummed out, easier to get through, to talk about with you all and to hear your thoughts and to bounce my ideas off John and vice versa. So with that, we're back here on Monday to talk about Raw, whatever that may bring. And with that being said, John, on a night like tonight, when maybe things are a little rough, or when things are at their best, we try to do one thing above all others that wrestling can. Tell me what that is.
Enjoy wrestling.
Indeed. Thanks for listening, everybody.